Welcome back, seedlings. You are just in time to see me slap Andy.
Wow.
He was being bad.
Craving chocolate.
Yeah.
Hey, can I do the intro?
Yeah.
All right, welcome back to Seeds, Seedlings, Treelings, Saplings, and other kind of lings. This is the episode where we make Summer actually talk a whole bunch. The last episode, we ended with her going, that's for another episode, right? So that means that's code for, I have something that I would like to say. Right? So if you know Summerese, then you know these things, right? This is what she's saying. I have something to say. So at the end of the last episode, we were talking about platforms, right? We were talking about all the things that have to do. How do we get on the platform? What do we do once we're on the platform? Then I brought up this whole idea about being hooked, right? What happens when we're not really ready to go? When we're not ready to really get off the platform, right? And you said, hey, I got lots to say about that. Another episode. So.
Well, that's what you heard.
That's what I heard.
I said that needs a whole nother video.
Right. Now what I heard also is what everybody else is now waiting for. Okay, enlighten us. Tell us. All right, so what's the deal with this? Because we do a lot of damage, right? Do a lot of damage as Christians when God asks us to move and we don't move.
Okay,
right?
see.
Don't talk about me.
No. What did you say at the end of the last video?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You said you get hooked,
Yep.
but like you didn't say if it was God hooking you or people hooking you, and you said it makes you look bad.
You can do all
right?
kinds of
So
things.
either way. So I think like this is why I said we have way more to talk about, because there's all different ways that you get hooked, right? So many different ways.
Okay. Give it to me.
Well, I mean, obviously God tells you first, right? God can tell you to go.
Yeah.
But like usually it's not gonna be when you think you should go.
Right.
It's not gonna look like it makes sense to anybody. Again, God wants to be glorified.
Right.
So you might be glorifying him like crazy and lighting up the stage with Jesus and no one knows who you are. That'd be great. And he still says, yeah, you gotta go.
Like Philip.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know. So yeah, I mean, it can make you look bad. It can make you feel bad. You could literally. I had this kind of happen recently where I was part of another ministry, and it was really good. It was a great relationship. It was going really well. Everything was good. People were responding like it was a good thing. And God just randomly said, like, leave it.
You're done.
Pull out. Like, with everything. And I was like, why? I literally said, why? Like, is this like a safety protection thing because of the demonic or something? Like, because that's a valid thing, right? Like, God will hop you around to protect you and hide you and stuff. I'm like, is this a protection thing? And he literally said, it's not your platform. Those were the words.
Yeah.
It's not your platform. Don't worry about the people. Don't worry about the ministry. It's not your platform.
So it's kind of like one of those events when you were invited up on stage for a second to help with a song.
Yeah.
Right? Or to be a part of a song.
Yeah.
And God says, hey, no, this was never your stage.
Right, but you don't know ahead of time how long. Like, you just think like, oh, I'm part of this now.
But when we get invited up onto the stage, a lot of times we think it's permanency, right?
For sure. I mean, it is very rare. If you look like, I don't know why we do these stupid things. We are so stupid humans. Like, it's very rare that God tells you how long you're going to do something. It's extremely rare. Like, he also doesn't set dates. It's the same concept, right? He doesn't say like, hey, on this day, this is going to happen. It's super, 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 super rare because, again, protection, faith.
Yep.
Right? Like, if you know exactly when things are going to happen, you can know, like, I mean, God's all about prophecy, right? He says he does nothing until he tells his secrets to his prophets. But if you don't fully know everything, then you have to have faith.
Yeah.
So, like, you might get there and assume it's forever or assume it's for, well, this period of my life. Like, you start something at the beginning of college, you think, well, this is for college.
Yeah, I'm going to be here all
And
4
it's like
years.
2 months later, you're done. And it's like, well, what do I do the rest of the time? It's like, well, God's like, well, I have plans for the rest of the time. But I think we have to, I think the first thing is we assume that we did something wrong.
Yep.
we assume we did something wrong, we hurt somebody, we made a mistake, we offended someone, or we never heard the call right the first time. And you're like, oh, did I ask? Was I actually called here? It's a whole bunch of nonsense in your head. I think that's one way. And then is when, people yank you from things, which you could play the whole debate of like, is God doing it because God lets it happen, and if he really wanted you to stay, then he wouldn't let them yank you, and blah 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 blah. But I don't think that's necessarily true. I think God could want you to stay somewhere, and he will let people do stupid things, and he will let them jack it up, right? So I think that's another scenario, and that just adds layers to like forgiveness and all those kinds of things too.
So let me ask you a question I'm thinking about right now that fits in this whole thing. But do godly people always make godly decisions?
No.
So
keyword people.
Right. So sometimes God gives us a platform.
Yes.
But that platform, I think you were talking about it this morning, that platform is, it's dependent upon other people making godly decisions. Right? So again, as a pastor, I can be called to a church, be given a platform. But it's also dependent upon the people who are calling, right, to keep doing godly things, which means that, hey, I might make a mistake, I might do something goofy. Are they listening to God, or are they listening to men? What makes sense to men?
Yeah. Well, it's like when we talked about David and Nathan, right? Like, God does have people anoint people, right? Like that's his process. He has you say, hey, listen, you're being called to this ministry. And I'm going to tell you, me, Summer. And if I'm off, like, I mean, we said Nathan made that mistake with David, right? He has just assumed because of like, his calling and everything he did was okay with God. And he had to go, I'm not talking about the right people, right? For some reason, I'm doubting myself all of a sudden. But like, then God had to say, no, I didn't approve that. Like, you need to go back and tell him you were wrong. And he's not building the temple. It's for Solomon, right? So, there is a process. So everybody lean on me process, right? Like, everybody's got to all roll up to God, but God does use people. So you have to factor that in.
So does, again, this probably is a totally different seeds, but so just make it short for me, right?
I said, seedlings, you're going to see this for a month.
Does God disqualify people from platforms or man? Because again, here's what happens a lot of times is we're given a platform, we do something, and immediately the reaction of people is, God's not going to use you anymore, you need to get off that platform, right?
Well, but I would say both.
What do you mean?
Well, God is supposed to, and yes, he does, obviously.
No doubt about it.
Right? But yeah, again, man gets in the way. Like, we think it's our show, it's our game, it's our church, it's our process, it's my party, and we think we know better, and we don't even pray about it. Like, we really don't.
So are there? Here's the deal. My want to believe is that God is such a gracious God and a good God that he always wants us to leave the stage, right? Via using the steps, right, in an orderly way, right? Even if we're getting yanked off, he wants us to use the steps. But unfortunately, there are moments where we either unceremoniously pushed from the stage, or we jump, and we think we're doing it, right? We think we're saving the platform, we're protecting the platform, we're doing whatever, but we just jump off the platform, right? Because we get scared on the platform, we start listening to the crowd.
Or you're like, maybe if I do it fast, no one will see.
Right, but we're responding to the crowd a lot of times too, right? Are there times when God would have us on a platform talking to thousands of people, and all of a sudden they start booing us?
Yeah, why not?
Because we can't believe that. Like, most of us as Christians would be like, no, God would never do that, right? If we got the platform, it's for this big, humongous thing. But do you think there's ever been times, because we never hear about it, where an evangelist, a prophet, somebody got up on a stage, said the message that God gave for them, looked out, dead quiet, not a single person responded?
Responded at all, or responded positively?
Responded to what the person up here was saying. Not responded at all, right?
Okay,
you're right.
Because I get hooked on that, right? It's like,
but just they didn't respond to the message.
Yeah, it happens all the time. It happened all throughout the Bible. That's how people got stoned and put in jail.
But can you imagine? Can you imagine evangelists, right, putting out all the signs, all the things, going doing all the media work, saying, "Hey, at this arena on this date," and they show up, they get up on the stage, 25,000 people, right, sitting there and everything. They give their message, the worship team plays, whatever. They get to the end, they get their altar call, and they're like, "You need to get up here, you need to find Jesus," and nobody moves.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, that could be God doing two totally different things. That could be God saying, like, you got to get off this platform.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be God explicitly doing it to train you. Like, God does that with his servants and his prophets, his teachers, his leaders. He puts you through refining. He puts you through refining. He's going to burn you out. He's going to make you experience rejection. Because if you can't deal with that stuff, you cannot do the things he's calling you to do.
So and
he wants to know that you love him more than all that crap. He wants to know that you don't care what they say and what they think, and that if you pray and God says, "Yep, it's still your platform," that you get up and you do it again in front of a bunch of thousands of people.
So here's my question that you just went to. See, I knew if I just let you talk long enough, you just commandeer all my stuff, right? Here's my question.
You said you wanted me to talk this
I
video.
did want to talk. It's been fantastic. We should probably let you talk more often. If I'm up on the stage,
yeah,
and the crowd wants me to get off the stage, but God says, "Stay on the stage." What do we do in those moments?
You stay on the stage. That's easy.
When the whole crowd is yelling.
Yeah, who cares?
Man, isn't that...
Maybe it's the wrong crowd.
It,
Right stage, wrong crowd.
like, what a crazy thought, right? What a crazy thought. What if you're a pastor? What if you're a pastor or a church leader? Something happens. The people come to you and they say, "You got to go." But you know that God has said, "Don't you dare go." What do you do in that moment?
You stay.
How do you stay when people don't want you to stay?
You stay because there's a clearly something God is doing. There's a process. There's a sifting, right? Like, we're reading through, parts of Ezra right now where he's talking about, like, the sin that they had to deal with, and him and the elders went around and told everybody, if you don't come to this meeting, if you don't show up, you are exiled from the congregation. Period. Like, so maybe God wants them all to leave.
So how come in these moments, right, we only look at one viewpoint? We look at the crowd looking at the platform. We never look at the platform looking at the crowd, right? How come in these moments it's all about what God wants to teach the person on the platform, but it's never about what God might want to be teaching the people in the crowd? Do you know what I mean?
We're human. We're selfish. We are just too stupid to look past the obvious, right? Like, if the whole crowd is booing, right? We teach in life that majority rules, right? That's like, period. Majority rules. That's how we function in everything in life. Well, not anymore. It's like whoever's the whiniest and the loudest rules. But, we don't have the ability to look past our own nose and think that maybe the way things look are not actually what they are.
So
we just don't think.
The majority in
Or
church rules, but here's the difference. God and I can make a majority, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right,
whichever side God is on is the majority.
It's not right. It's not a
period.
Thing, right?
But we don't actually believe that.
We don't. Right? We look out and we assume that the crowd is right all the time. Let me, I guess, finish with this thought process with you. What would have happened if Jesus would have given up his platform because the crowd hated him?
We'd all be going to hell, I guess. Or we'd be still offering up goats and oxen and all the things.
So without being over dramatic, right? Is it possible, not you being over dramatic, but just the concept, is it possible that if we get off the stage when we're not supposed to, that same concept could happen?
A bunch of people go to hell? Yeah, that's not over dramatic at all. That's just reality. Why are you in this game if that's not how you're looking at everything? Like, why are you playing the church game? It's not fun. It doesn't get you rich, usually. It's not easy. There's nothing great about it. So why are you playing this game if you don't look at everything like it's heaven or hell? Like, that's not overly dramatic. That's the job.
Yeah. So I think, again, this whole platform thing, it has some pretty severe consequences. If we get up on it when we're not supposed to, if while we're on it we commandeer the glory and we try to stand out and not let God,
Yeah.
right? If we get off of it before, right? There's consequences if we do sing the wrong song in the wrong key, right? There's consequences. People are going to be hurt, right? There are things that are truth. But the bottom line is the platform needs to be solely about God inviting you up and God telling you when it's time to go. Right? What if God has you do a 5-year encore?
Okay.
Let's do it.
Hurrah.
Right? But what if God says one song and you're done?
Then one song and you're done.
All these people paid $30 to hear you sing for 2 hours, but one song and you're done. Pick the song.
Sure, he's
you
got something else for him.
Yeah, he probably does.
I'm not really worried about that.
Beautiful. All right. It's good to have you talk.
Yeah.
Close it up.
You're gonna make me wrap it up? I was gonna say.
I don't know how to wrap it up. So.
Well, it's pretty easy. Be where you're supposed to be. It's the same thing. It's always the same answer. Pray and do what God tells you to do. It's just this always, right? You know, we keep saying, follow Jesus. Same answer. Just do what God tells you to do. Don't worry about everybody else. He's got it. He can take care of them. He can do all the things. So pray, pay attention, know your platform, follow your hooks or don't follow your hooks or whatever you got to do.
Amen.
Just do what God tells you, guys. We love you. Have a great week.